Hi, I'm Lucas Mack, and I'm on a mission to see the hurting get healed and the healed go out and heal others, in order for all of us to experience the true love and light we desire. This podcast is me sharing my journey with you, so you don't feel alone in your journey. Welcome to the Golden Rule Revolution. Hello, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another episode of the Golden Rule Revolution. I am Lucas Mack. Welcome. It's such a pleasure having you join. Today is day 7 of 10, and thank you. I know I didn't post on Instagram. I realize, when you get flooded with too much messages and content, that sometimes it's a turn off, but I appreciate those who are staying with me, sharing this podcast, listening to these episodes. And my deepest desire is that you hear the message from my heart, hear the message that I'm receiving to share, and that it ignites in you this exuberance and this liberation and this freedom and this courage and bravery and sovereignty inside you, that no matter what we go through as a collective or what we go through as individuals, that you have the understanding of you will be okay. Everything is okay. And the tools and the emotional healing to process quickly things that are brought to you, so that you can continually rise in ascension and consciousness and sovereignty and healing and liberation and love and light and beauty in this world. This world is incredibly beautiful. The world that we live in is incredibly beautiful. And at the same time, it's incredibly ugly. Isn't that interesting that how we choose to see something, see the world specifically, we can see it as incredibly beautiful or incredibly ugly. There's a quote by Rabbi Schneerson, who started Chabad, and he said, the world is still a garden, still referencing the Garden of Eden. The world is still a garden, but it's our job to dig it out, to expose the goodness that is available. It's still a garden, my brother and sister, but we are the gardeners. And we have forgotten our role. So often we forget because we're listening to cable and news and inundated with news and media and things that shape our worldview and shape our perspective and shape our narrative and shape our ability to see clearly. That's what 2020 we just left was, the year of clear vision for many. But also for many, it was a year of clouded vision. And there are so many with anxiety. And I have so much compassion, because for so long I lived with anxiety that racked my body, panic attacks. I had to go to the hospital, an ambulance. I mean, I get it. I remember the first panic attack I ever had. Everyone's asleep. I was getting ready for bed, and I thought I was having a heart attack, and I'm laying on the ottoman. I have 2 children at the time. My wife's asleep. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm thinking, this is how I'm dying. I'm dying of a heart attack. And my heart was boom, 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 boom. I could see my chest pounding. My body's flush and red. And I get anxiety. But I also have done the work and had the courage and found the courage to face all the pain so that I can be free and share with you how you can be free. Sometimes I've listened to these podcasts the past the past 6th. And what I don't want to become is preachy. What I want to become is an encouragement for you to understand that you have a brother who has gone through some of the most traumatic things, so that I can stand here today and say, whatever you are going through, you can get through it and it's going to be okay. For so long, I just wanted, and this is, I think, universal, we all just want to be loved and affirmed. All of us. I really, truly believe at the very core, every human on this planet just desires to be loved and affirmed. However, in our pursuit of being loved and affirmed, we abdicate our own responsibility to cultivate that love and affirmation inside of us, and we give our power away to others, to parents, to the narcissists, to friends, to whoever, relationships, intimate relationships. We give our power away and say, this is all of me. Will you love me? Will you love me? Will you love me? Will you love me? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And what happens when that conditional terms and conditions, my wife, Lauren, said this last night. She's like, it's called terms and conditions for fake love, false love, terms and conditions. If you do these things, then I will make you feel good. I will make you feel loved. But that's not love, because love is always unconditional. As I said before, there is no such thing as unconditional love, because love's always unconditional. However, we have to qualify it as unconditional love and love, conditional love, which is not love. But we give our power away to these people and say, will you love me? And once they say, you broke my terms and conditions, they rip away that feeling of love, and we are left with this vacuum, just and depression and anxiety and disassociating and distractions and anger and rage and screaming and accusing and pointing fingers and yelling and violence, and it just goes on and on and on and on, all stemming from that lack of love and affirmation of oneself. And we will, as a collective, we will, and as individuals, you will continually go through these cycles until you finally say, enough, enough. Draw that line in the sand and say, I'm not going to give my power away to any other person on this planet for 1 second longer. Something inside of me, not outside of me, is amiss. Something inside of the hearts of humanity has yet to be unlocked by those who are in anxiety, fear, worry, stress, doubters, cynics, collective groupthink, needing the mob to feel safe. That's because there's something inside that is so wounded or so scary to look in, go back into our hearts and look at it, that we keep seeking external validation, love, and affirmation, and our anxiety levels rise, our anger rises, our worry rises, our sleep decreases, the amount of sleep, we take things to sleep. It just goes on and on and on. And I'm here to say to you, my dear brother and sister, that you get to break all those negative cycles, forces, influences, chains, anything that holds you back from being the robust fullness and sovereign you, beautiful you, powerful you, courageous you, royal you. You get to go inside and look and remove and reveal. There's a great line. This is funny that this is even coming to me right now, but there's a great line in the Jay-Z album 444. And he says, you cannot heal what you do not reveal. which is true. That is 100% truth. You cannot heal what you don't reveal. There are so many secrets that we carry, memories that we carry, events that we carry, all the way back to our earliest consciousness of childhood, things that happen to us that we just don't want to reveal. We try to convince ourselves that it doesn't affect us anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. Those things, oh yeah, that was in the past, but I have a job. I'm whatever we justify our current situation with. And yet your soul is crying out, begging, beseeching you to remember the innocence of your soul, the innocence of yourself, the purity of yourself, the purity of your soul. And it's constantly trying to wake you up, and we shut it down. We ignore the thoughts. We keep disassociated. We keep taking whatever we consume to make that soul voice lessen. And our soul voice is connected to God's voice. Our soul's voice is connected to God's voice. In Genesis, it says, and God breathed into man, and man became a living soul. Our soul is of the breath of God. That's why the Hebrew word for soul is neshama, which means breath. Breath. So our soul is connected to the very voice of God. So our soul's voice is God's voice. That's why it says, be still and know that I am. Where's the I am? Who do you say I am? Do you say I am like you are? No, I am, meaning I am here. We don't say, be still and know that you are God. No, be still and know that I am God. To recite that is that I am God. Well, where is God? God is found in our soul. And it's a very still, small voice. It's a still, small voice. It's not going to yell. God is God. He does not need to. And when I say he, you understand that this is the masculine energy that we're talking about, the giving. There's also the feminine receiving. This is not that God's a man, but I say he. God does not need to convince you of anything, because ultimately you will find the truth in this life or the next. But it is, if you want the truth, if you want to be free, because the truth makes us free, then you have to be still. You get to be still and listen to that still, small voice. And for many, it's going to take a long time. Why? Because there's so much chatter in our minds. There's so many words. There's so many things. There's so many people that you think matter about your life. So many people, if you are honest right now with me, and I said, speak your full truth, everything you've ever gone through, all the people that pop up in your mind of who, oh, my dad, my mom, my grandma, my brother, my sister, blah, 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 all these people, guess what? They're taking space in your real estate, and they do not belong there. That real estate belongs to you. And it is time for us to remove, and it's going to take some time. It takes courage. It takes work. It takes personal development. It takes listening to words like this and actually reflecting on them, but to remove all the voices inside our own heads and all the people that we're afraid of their terms and conditions being revoked from us and not having that love. And oh no, who am I without their love, without their terms and conditions? Removing all that, creating space inside of ourselves to fully fill our mind, fully fill and feel our hearts, so we can be still and listen to that still small voice, our gut, our soul. You see, when your heart and gut align, nothing can stop you. Nothing. That's why your root chakra that I've been working on, having my heart connect more open, just open my root chakra, open my solar plex, and be here now with you speaking, and nothing can stop you. Nothing. Because our soul's voice and our heart are in alignment. However, when we are so stuck in our head and all the different voices and all the thoughts and all the things. And it's just constantly firing, and the synapses are firing. And usually they're not even connected properly, but they're just firing. And you might hear words like this, and you're like, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. But yet your soul does. I guarantee, I promise you, your soul knows what I'm talking about. So our job is to get still and be quiet. And that's why meditation is so important. Now, I am not some grand meditator. I honor the practice that everyone has. You have your own ability. You're not me and I'm not you. We all have our own ability. So for me, I do breath work. I will do some guided meditations. I do walk. Essentially, my life is a prayer. I walk in prayer. I walk in constant communication with God. For some, meditating for 10 minutes is sufficient. For some, meditating for an hour. For some, whatever it is that you are uniquely gifted to do to connect to God, to the I am, to hear your soul, that still small voice, you get to do. This is one of the things I'm very clear leaving 2020 is anyone who says, this is the way, you say, thank you for telling me a way. I'll find my way. How radical is that? For so long, for the 3D world, it's all these people saying, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. And what does that create? Groupthink, mob mentality, terms and conditions. It's not what humans were created on this planet to be. Everyone's their own gardener. Everyone has their own piece of garden, and everyone gets to look at the fruit of their labor, whether it's actually producing good fruit or not good fruit, or weeds or plants that can sustain life. But either way, we are responsible for our own gardening. Therefore, there are ways, and we get to incorporate what works best for us. Can you imagine I'm 6'3", I'm a big guy, even though some people think I'm small. I don't know how I can change that coming through video, but I'm a big man. Okay. Can you imagine me telling a very small, petite female the way to, whatever, even the amount of caffeine it takes for me to wake up versus someone who's very tiny? It's significantly different. The point is, anyone that says the way, you could say, thank you, it is a way. But once you figure out what works for you, meditating and being clear, praying, and I love this. I don't even remember who told me this, but praying is us talking to God, which is incredibly important, because what you do not reveal, you cannot heal. So uttering out of our mouths, Jesus said, out of the abundance of our heart, the mouth speaks. So getting out of our hearts things that no longer serve us. So speaking it out, praying is talking to God. And for many, you've never talked to God. For many, you might even still be questioning, is there a God? And then I would say, I'm questioning if there's you. You prove to me that you're real. Show up fully. Well, God proves himself every day, that very fact that we wake up in consciousness. So praying is talking to God. Meditating is being still so that God can talk to us. And it gets me choked up. It's so beautiful. I love you, brother and sister. I want to see the fullness of your life be robustly in alignment to your soul's purpose on this planet. We need you. We need you as a collective to be the fullness of you. And anyone that you're allowing in your space right now with terms and conditions, perhaps you're putting terms and conditions on other. Our lesson here is to wake up and understand what true, infinite, and unconditional love is, where it comes from, how much of it is inside of us, how much we share with others. And that is it. That is the whole purpose of our existence here on earth, is the infinite and unconditional love of God. And when we do that, that is what it means to be the light. Light helps people see what? What's possible for them. What's possible for you? What's possible for me? Being the light is simply showing possibilities. It's simply saying there is more. It's simply saying, hey, those chains that are strapped to you, do you want to keep carrying those? Do you want to keep carrying what your parents said to you? The nasty words that were spoken over you by friends or people that went to school with you? People that don't matter, you're not going to die with? You're not dying with your parents. You're not dying with even your children. You're not dying with your spouse. You're dying with you. You alone are going to graduate to the next level and give account for this time and space, this dimension. And what if you didn't die and yet never learned? What if you lived forever and yet never learned unconditional love? That to me seems terrible. To live forever and not have the ability to have a catalyst to experience unconditional love and be the light. So this is the time. Before we move fully into the millennial reign of Christ, the golden age, the 1,000-year age of Aquarius, whatever you want to call it, this is the time right now, listening to this podcast, me as your brother sharing this narrative message to you. This is your time. And sometimes we can't do it alone. Sometimes we need to reach out to other people. That's why there's coaches. That's why I coach people. That's why there's courses. That's why there's emotional intelligence training. And right now, with this false narrative of death reigning over humanity, yes, there's less in-person things, but there's many online things, and you can choose to live in the face of the narrative of death. And wherever you are in the world, Mexico, Spain, Israel, India, obviously the United States, Canada, Argentina, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, Norway, the UK, everywhere that this podcast is listened to, you are a unique light, a brilliantly unique light. And before you think the next thought of what is my rabbi or family, or what is my imam, or what is the pastor or priest going to say to me, before you think of any other person outside of your very own consciousness in your body aligned with who you are meant to be in this world, before you think of any other, I want you to think, if I was going to preach a message to myself of sovereignty, of unconditional love, of light, of beauty, of glory, of healing, of ascending and consciousness, what would I tell myself? And once you figure that message out, what's anyone else going to say to you? What's anyone else going to say? What is anyone else needing to say to you if you know the message of yourself, of your journey? The golden rule revolution. Golden. It's pure gold. Rule, sovereignty. Sovereignty to rule oneself. Revolution, to come back, to return, to remember. It's time to remember, dear one, who you actually are. And if you have the need to reach out to another and cling to another, you have more work to do. Because sovereignty says, Here I am. Let me show you the permission for you to do the same and stand and be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth its fruit in its season, that whatsoever it doeth, it prospers. Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And so, my dear brother and sister, I bless you with so much love. So much love. You have no idea how much you're loved. You have yet to even fathom it. So much light. I bless you with so much light. I bless you with courage. Courage, courage, courage. I bless you with truth. Everything is going to be okay. Spend time in meditation today. Listen to that still small voice. Listen to the message that you are here to bring from your I am to the world. Don't worry about pastors and priests and terms and condition humans. Listen to yourself. Trust yourself and live in utter freedom, for we are all waiting for you. I'm Lucas Mack. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters, for listening to this podcast, watching this podcast, sharing, liking, subscribing. I ask you to continually stand for others, to be the light and the permission for their freedom as well. And continue to join me. We got a lot of amazing guests coming tomorrow. My wife and I recorded a conversation, our second annual, as we're calling it. And I'm really excited to bring that to you. So thank you, everyone. I'm Lucas Mack. This is the Golden Rule Revolution, and I look forward to talking with you on the next episode. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. For support in your journey, go to my website, lucasmack.com.